Well, pardon me. I forgot to introduce our next speaker. I hope she doesn't hate me for this. Well, Patricia and Saran. They'll be here to talk to us about building a climate journalism task force. Please, let's hear it for them. Thank you so much for being awake. And also, I had an announcement to make. We're missing a couple headsets from yesterday. If anyone took a headset, please make sure to give it back. And now let's welcome our speakers.
I like that song. Okay, how do you feel for the last intervention? I hope you are fine. And just before starting this presentation, we would like to say thank you to the Forum Meteo Clima and to ESA for those days. You have done a great job, and we have a little gift for Christian and for you, sir, from the ESA. Those are books that traduce all the knowledge of the native people of the north of Chile, the south of Peru, and the frontier with Bolivia. And it's really interesting because we can see how they used to manage the hydrid resources or the astrology and so on. So I really hope that you're going to enjoy it. So please, Karen, feel free to give it to Christian, Nadège, and the representative of ESA. Okay, I have to be there. So please, my partner in crime. So, okay, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Patricia Morales. I'm the CEO of Filantropia Cortés Solari, the institution where Mary Foundation belonged to, and that was founded by Francisca Cortés Solari 25 years ago. We are very pleased to introduce today with Saran Comel, my partner in crime from the University Côte d'Azur, the Climate Media Task Force. And this initiative was born 1 year ago. It was an initiative envisioned by Francisca, and that was born after a very concrete but urgent observation, the fact that the science had never been that strong, and at the same time the bridge and the connection between the scientific knowledge and the society is getting more fragile. Someone can help us with this slide. Oh, I have some troubles. Okay. So again. Okay, so please. So we were mentioning that. I don't know if you want to complement that. Okay, so one of the important things is that we already know what happened in terms of ecological and economical disaster, and I think the panels before have been very clear about that. But we also know that around 40% of the people, only 40% of the people trust the news, and another 40% actively avoid it. And maybe those numbers show us the tragic reality. People don't trust maybe anymore as they used to do in the communication. I'm not saying journalist or communicator. I'm just saying communication in general, because they're not sure about the sources, and we all know that there is so much information and that we never know if it's an algorithm or not. For another hand, Saran also mentioned the study Trust in Science and their role in society across 68 countries that actually you mentioned to me. Maybe you want, next slide, next. You want to comment? Oh no, they didn't put, well, doesn't matter. In another version of the PTPT, we had some slide of this study where you can see that more than 70% of the people consider that scientists should communicate about science with the general public. So there is that feeling that maybe we need to do something to reduce that gap, and we need to help communicators, definitely. It's not their fault, obviously not. So what we are believing is that we really need to develop a tool, a group, a task force that would help in that sense. Because we have this fragile communication, this problem of public trust, and a weakened channel for the evidence. Next, please. So what do we want to do is to develop, sorry, okay, a global task force of climate journalists that could, for one hand, ensure capacity for communicators. It means continued training and climate literacy for journalists and editors, because we all know that often the decision is not taken by the journalists, but by the editors. And I'm including also there, even if it's not writing, the policymakers. Probably this is the most important step. On the other hand, we are thinking to develop an AI tool, and we are talking about this, that would be able to validate evidence in real time. This is something that we started to hear last year during the Monaco Ocean Week, when we developed the Blue Economy Roundtable. All the specialists that were there, Sarah, and also because we organized that with the Centre Scientifique de Monaco, Université Côte d'Azur, and the Prince 2 Foundation, Fondation Prince 2, Albert, bref. And so it was an evidence that the journalists and the medias and people in general need a single source where you could find curated information on real time. It appears that we have experience on that. We have been working for 5 years now in a similar agenda, but for education, because we have another foundation in philanthropy, Agorte Solari, named Caserta Foundation, and we have that experience. So this is why our executive president took the decision to start this media task force, and also to promote and to find other partners in order to develop this AI. And then we need legitimacy. And this is maybe the most difficult thing, because legitimacy is not a matter of include one or two partners, formal partners. We could say, okay, we're going to have UN. I guess that we all know here that this is really not enough. So I do believe that we need legitimacy in terms of North and South, but also understand that science do not come only by the global reports and the formal reports. Science also come from different academy, big universities, smaller university, but also the native peoples and their tradition. And this is maybe why we are giving you, and we bring here those books that you can find in our website, www.fcs.tv. So it's really important to understand that the legitimacy is gonna make it happen, because day to day, what we can see, at least from Mary Foundation, is that journalists call us. Not only, we don't have to think in the journalists that go to the UN every day. After that, we have the journalists that work every day in the Patagonia, in the south of Chile, or in Africa, and they need to find information for their local situation, their extreme situation that happened just on the corner. Next, please. So another very important thing of this climate media task force is the governance. By our experience show us in different public, private, and international projects that you can never develop this kind of tool pretending that you know everything. No, you need to have obviously an executive committee that is the motor, because generally everyone has a lot of things to do. And beside that, you need an advisory committee. And obviously you need a scientific committee, a communicational committee, and a financial committee. So as far, we really consider that it's really necessary, obviously, to have Université Côte d'Azur, but to have the Foro Météo Clima there, because you are a huge institution, you have a lot of experience, you are able to gather all those journalists and communicators together. So we really need you. And you are a strong force here. So you are completely and formally invited to be part of this climate media task force. Beside that, in terms of the advisory committee is really important, because they have to legitimate what is decided by what is proposed, let's say, by the executive committee. And we already have a confirmation of the UNFCCC, the IPCC, the UNESCO, because we work a lot with the Office for Climate Education, Fondation Prince Albert II, et Centre Scientifique de Monaco. And we really hope to include more and more institutions. This is what we are going to start. Usually in our project, our public-private international project, we used to have around 40 institutions part of the advisory committee with many minister, with high representative of private sector, and it works. When it's something serious, and when you show that there is enough floor, political floor, it works. It takes time, but it works. Okay. Regarding the agent, the intelligence, the artificial intelligence, so unfortunately, from here, I cannot show you INI, the current agent we already have for integral education, but I can show you after the presentation. But just to explain you a little bit about this, what we do is after working for 20 years, yes, 20 years with teachers, students, and students community, we work with a sample of 250 teachers from all Latin America and the Caribbean. And first of all, we listen to them, we try to understand their needs in order to develop this AI. And then we, starting with 120 documents, we curate those documents and we create INI, this agent. So what I mean is the most important thing is the local context. Teachers need to be able to have an answer, a concrete answer about their needs in order to, I don't know, develop a course about environmental education for the kids of 16 years, for example, or what should I do to handle a crisis or an emotional crisis about the anxiety about the climate change, things like that. So we need the local context. We need a plain language, speed, obviously, and to be very strict with the criteria that we use to create the information that belong to this. We have been discussing, obviously, with Nadej and Brigitte and other people that are working around other tools to see how could we incorporate both work. But definitely, we believe this is essential to give force to the initiative. And in terms of structure, which is absolutely strategic, is to organize a kind of hub with different groups according to the region and according to the languages. So a LATAM group, sorry, I put LATAM first, Europe, North America, Africa, and Asia. It's really important to respect the territorial relevance, and it's also a way to guarantee the legitimacy, the representativity, and to understand the local problems. Obviously, in Latin America, can speak more comfortably about that. We are going to talk about the Pacific, the Antarctic, the mountains, so on. So obviously we have different problems. We have to take care about that. And we cannot pretend to develop a tool that is thinking from a region and not taking care about the rest of the world. So our invitation and the invitation that Francisca made in her intervention is to be part of those groups. So we invite you, all of us, to be part of those groups, to say, okay, I want to be part to the LATAM group, Africa group, North American group, and then we're going to define coordinators and we are going to try to understand what are their needs, your needs, and so on. In terms of, next please, and in terms of roadmap, what we pretend is to present the consultative or advisory committee on September together with the regional hub and start the curation of the EI by September. We definitely are going to present this group and the advances during the COP31 together with Siemens Steel and the UNFCCC. This is already an agreement. And by 2027, we should start the capacitation, and also we should see the agent working if everything is all right. And I think that's all. I think just to finish and maybe to say something that Francisca wanted asked me to mention. She told me, just please tell everyone that everyone can make the difference. And maybe the question is, what can we do more? What can we do every day to be sure that we are doing something against the triple crisis, climate change? We are here, that's great. But what is the next step? And that's the invitation that Francisca is doing, that we are doing from Filantropia Corte Solari and Mary Foundation. Let's do something together after this afternoon. Let's be sure that we are going, because of the firm Meteo Clima, because of all the work that Christian did, VSA did, and that we all did, let's be sure that we are going to be part of, I hope so, this initiative. Thank you very much. So obviously the questions are open, the floor are open. Karin?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Just more than a question, I have a comment. I'm also a journalist. I was an editor and producer some years ago. And the thing is, in my experience, at least in Latin America, most of the time we don't have time to prepare information for everything. So sometimes we cover economies, environmental issue, and so on. So the thing is, the importance of this kind of tools is to have the sources to be sure we are informing correctly, because we are full of information. So in Chile, at least, Andrea Obaid is one of the journalists that is specialized in science, but we have no more than 4. The rest we used to cover many other issues. So that's what I wanted to comment. And I'm not sure if in the rest here, the rest of the colleagues have the same experience, but I know in Latin America at least is something like that.
I'm very interested in the project you presented. So how do any one of us reach out to, like, if we're interested to be a part of it, what can we do to make this a reality?
Thank you, Ariel. Well, obviously contacting us, but also we were thinking because we're not that disorder, we were thinking to ask Christian to facilitate us the list of the participants and to invite you formally to participate to the hub. That is our starting point. And together with you, we have a huge list of journalists that we have met, not only journalists, not only communicators, not only meteorologists, but people that usually communicate or participate in policymakers. And I think I want to join the comment of Karen. And this is important to understand because you all here know more than everyone. I mean, much more than me, you know. But the thing is that 99% of the journalists cover everything at the same time and they have to handle with that. So I think at the end, this initiative is to help them. And your marginal help value, let's say, in this kind of initiative is huge because you are in particular the kind of media communicator specialist that can help your colleague to understand better how to deal with the auditor that don't care about climate change, you know? So, yeah.
Thank you very much. I think it's a great initiative. I think from also the science point, there is a need to have more colleagues trained to talk with the media. So we have done, we have done some media training in France with Expertise Clima and also with the GSCC. And these are very helpful because our colleagues get motivated and we avoid that we have hundreds of requests per day that we cannot handle, and then we see at the television that instead of a climatologist or a meteorologist, there is the boulanger, someone selling bread and saying like, "Hey, it's very hot today." Yeah, it's yeah. So
this is a hard problem because we face that every day with the other partner in crime, Karen, with marine scientists. They show us their communiqué press. You just want to cry. I mean, no one is going to buy that, you know? So we try to make very discreetly, not discreetly at all, some changes, you know? They get mad. And this is a terrible fight because they feel that you don't respect their science, and they don't understand all the work we are doing to convince the director to ask some favor, you know, to cover something about the ranita de Darwin. I don't know how to say that in English, but it's a very important animal for the conservation of the Patagonia. But no one cares in Chile. Well, so I think that yes.
Well, we went over this with media training. So at the beginning also, I don't know if my press release now are good, but we're still doing them not ourselves. We do with the professional, they do that, Expertise Clima and GSCC. And at the beginning, it was frustrating for us to write this press release. And now we start from a better basis because we've done media training and we understand the need that you have from your side. And without this step where you also train the scientists to talk to the media, then you end up interacting only with few of us.
And you develop trust.
And there is no diversity.
Journalists in particular. What we have tried is to seduce some particular journalists from different media. And from those journalists are not meteorologists. They are simple journalists, normal journalists, but we should use them, and step by step we try to have some scientists that develop some skillness. I think that maybe that's the best way, and definitely we hope that this initiative could help also in that sense.
Maybe if I can add on something, I think we don't realize the exposure. But that is true for scientists, but I was thinking it's also true for you. When I was looking at your short videos, which I think are absolutely great, I was thinking that you're also exposing yourself as an individual on those kinds of media that sometimes can be very harsh. So how can we find some ways, it can be through training, it can be through an AI tool, to support those that have this, I would say, this courage of exposing themselves. For scientists, it's very complicated because not only is it counterintuitive to have these very communication short time experiences, but also one needs to understand that in general, when you are on the media for 1 or 2 minutes, you are going to cover topics that you're not expert about. I mean, you will be more expert than anyone in the room because it remains science and it's the first level information, but it's not your work. And so there's also this question of exposing yourself without feeling the legitimacy because you know you're not expert of the field. So what are the mechanisms that we can use in order, I would say, to de-risk this exposure from scientists, from journalists? How can we support that? And yes, there's training, and yes, there's what has been done in creating these communities. I was talking with some of you, and I know that you also have these conversations on WhatsApp. You have different groups, different support systems, which I think is great, and also through tools that would facilitate and reassure you and de-risk and be sure that the information that is on that tool is not going to be used, is not misinformation, but is real qualitative information. And at least that, I would say, this pressure of having the right information, the true information, can be handled by a tool, you know.
I totally agree. And can I just add that the European Geoscience Union, which is now the largest association of geoscientists in the world, and the AGU as well. There are actions directed towards this. And we also created a new division that is geoscience communication and social geoscience, where all these topics are addressed. So now there is also a surplus of the union that we have, that we would like to invest in media training and also in supporting scientists in this task of communicating when the institutions do not support them, which now is happening in the US. But AGU and EGU are keen to support scientists that want to do this. And yes, Bernadette.
I was just going to add a big yes to a lot of this, but we can follow up later too, because there are specific groups in the US, particularly like you're saying AGU. There's a group called SciLine also, it's SCI line, and that are working through these networks. But again, they're not all connected yet. And I think your vision here has a big connection piece. And that's where there might be an extra layer to this to build a connection that can flow from science to media. And so we could follow up on some of those, but everyone who's online or following, yes, AGU, GSCC does this globally. IPCC does do media training for a lot of their scientists too, which is great. And then in the US, SciLine, it's essentially a matching service for a journalist on a deadline. And at the same time, they train the scientists in, and then they network it together to try and meet deadlines. So there are some of these things to think through.
Thank you, Bernadette, for your
Yeah.
comment, because I think that's all the point. You talked to me yesterday about institutions like that, and I think that one of our vision is to connect through the forum with different institutions that are already working around the world, you know, and maybe it's the best way to identify clearly how can we help properly.
I tend to say that sometimes the next great idea is acknowledging that someone had it before you. And here, I think it makes complete sense. It's about, I think, being a hyphen and connecting the dots for all of these initiatives that exist. So yeah, I think that we're completely aligned, and speaking up about it makes you realize that there are already things going on, and that's knowledge as well. So thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Merci Patricia, merci Sarah.
Thank you, Patricia Sara. I will speak in French. Since 30 years, we have organized during the International Forum of Climate, we have been strengthening the connections between journalists, scientists, and institutions and international organizations. As it was said by Celeste Saulo, the Secretary General of OMM, I'm taking her words that go very well in the case of the media workshop. Whether representatives have a role to play with institutions to help citizens in understanding the reality of the changing climate and the necessary actions to adapt to itself. This is one of the roles of the media workshop. I thank Charles. I thank wholeheartedly all those who intervened and contributed to the success. We can say more than 350 people connected this morning. I don't know now with the hot weather in Europe, at least. And here there were almost 80 people of 107 countries. So thank you very much. And I also would like to thank moderators and the facilitators of the sessions, Brigitte, Marielle, Bernadette, Paul. Thank you. Thank to all of you. A big thank, and we already said it, I repeat it to Simonetta Kelly, the Director of Programs of Earth Observation at ESA, at the European Space Agency. I don't know if we say ESA or maybe that, and the Director of ESRIN for hosting us here today with this very sunshine weather. Thank you to all the teams. We can applaud. This event couldn't be done without our partners that I thank here, ESRIN of the European Space Agency, the Mary Foundation, MedSat, and Climate Central, Circo avec Destination Earth, Teles Alena Space Italy, and our support, scientific support of the World Meteorological Organization and JEC that's supporting us since the beginning, CCC, there's a very complicated name, and Italian Medler. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the organizers and the teams of the organizers. I will not say their surnames: Elena, Sara, Silvana, Gaia, Nadège, Juliette, Costanza, Grace, Chantal, Pauline, Pierre. Thank you. And by way of conclusions, I think that together we demonstrated once again that science and weather presenters are indivisible for climate related training. So see you next year. Thank to all of you. But for those who haven't seen it, tomorrow, remember the one Mistral day. This is the wind. Thank you. Thank you very much.